And in early 20th century, the Swadeshi movement comes up in Bengal, and Rabindranath's experiments in Shantiniketan was his own engagement with this idea of Swadeshi. In 1901, he set up a small school, as I pointed out earlier. To Rabindranath, we have, I'm quoting, we have come to this world to accept it, not merely to know it. This is part of his educational philosophy. We may become powerful by knowledge, but we attain fullness by sympathy. The highest education is that which does not merely give us information, but makes our life in harmony with all existence. And he believed in deeply in freedom of the individual, freedom of the mind, freedom of heart and will, and he calls this a real homecoming into this world, this institution called Shantiniketan, which would be a joy and a celebration. Though he was deeply committed to the freedom of the individual, he believed that education should not be dragged out of its native elements, the life current of the people. He not only wanted to make Shantiniketan the center of the intellectual life of India, but the center of our economic life as well. It must cultivate land, breed cattle, to feed itself and its students. It must produce all necessaries. I'm quoting from Rabindranath. It must produce all necessaries, and it should call science to its aid. Its very existence should depend upon the success of its industrial ventures carried out on the cooperative principle. He believed in the cooperative principle and spread this in the surrounding villages, including in Shantiniketan, whose motive force is not greed of profit. And such an institution must group around it all the neighboring villages and unite them with itself in all its economic endeavors. He conceived of Shantiniketan as a guru-centered school, the early Shantiniketan, whose aim would be the spiritual awakening and the creation of a oneness with the universe in the spirit of truth, beauty and ananda to make us real Hindus. That's his own, in a letter which he wrote to Jagdish Chandra Bose. After experimenting with the school for nearly 2 decades, he founded a unique university called Vishwabharati in 1921. He spelled out its central ideals as A, the contribution of each people and nation to the world of knowledge, so that each, including India, would contribute to the world of knowledge. Secondly, understanding and expressing the religious and cultural diversities which went into the making of India. And 3, connecting with the laboring people's work and creations of village India. That was also one of the purposes of this university and this institution. Finally, he wanted to run Shantiniketan's finances on a cooperative basis involving students, teachers and the local people. His idea of Shantiniketan was a pilgrimage, and he often called it a pilgrimage, built on the confluence of the East and the West. He wanted to build what he called an Eastern University. At the time, college and university building was high on the nationalist agenda in Bengal. Tagore wanted his university to be distinct from the University of Calcutta, which was also being built around at the same time by Ashutosh Mukherjee under the influence of the Swadeshi movement. Calcutta University was a nationalist copy of any modern Western university. To Rabindranath, his university was an aesthetic and spiritual creation in the midst of nature and not a scientific work. He emphasized this. His work and thought could best be described as an experiment with what Krishnachandra Bhattacharya calls Swaraj and ideas. It may be interesting to note here that Ashutosh Mukherjee's project of building Calcutta University received enormous support from the people of Bengal. It was built on public funds. But unfortunately, Rabindranath's Shantiniketan did not receive the kind of public funds which Calcutta University received. In fact, it received more funds from outside Bengal and outside India. According to Rabindranath, the first task of an Eastern university before the East engages and cooperates with the West is that she must base her own structure on a synthesis of all the different cultures she has. When taking a stand on such a culture, she turns towards the West. She will take, with a confident sense of mental freedom, her own view of truth from her own vantage ground and open a new vista of thought to the world. He was against efforts to feebly imitate the West. He believed that, I'm quoting, if the whole world grows at last into an exaggerated West, then such an illimitable parody of the modern age will die, crushed beneath its own absurdity. He wanted his university to comprehend the whole range of Eastern cultures. He writes, for our universities we must claim not labeled packages of truth and authorized agents to distribute them, but truth in its living association with her lovers and seekers and discoverers. Also, we must know that the concentration of the mind forces scattered throughout the country is the most important mission of a university. Rabindranath urges that we have to strengthen all elements in our Western culture, not to in our Indian culture, not to resist Western culture, but truly to accept and assimilate it, to use it for our